Hello viewers and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be building a new custom Victorinox Swiss Army knife with a few new tricks. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, stick around and let's get started. First of all, let's talk a little bit about history. I have a previous video all about 2-layer Swiss Army knives with scissors, so go and check that out if you didn't already. But there are also a couple of other interesting and rare knives that are often also done as customs. These are the Scientist, which was a 2-layer knife with a blade and a combo tool in one layer and an inline Phillips and a magnifying glass on the second layer. And there's the Yeoman, which adds the scissors into this as the third layer. These are both discontinued and pretty collectible and expensive. Now, I was thinking about what to do for my next custom, and I started to prioritize features which I would like and considering them against the goal of keeping the package as a 2-layer knife. And what I decided to do is to build a version of the Yeoman in 2 layers. And here's how I did it. I started with an Explorer and a Rambler as the main donors. First of all, the scales were of course popped off, and I used a Dremel tool to grind off the 58mm pins and a drill press with a cobalt drill bit to drill out the rivets on the 91mm. If you're very careful when drilling, you can save all 6 rivets from the 91mm knife for reassembly. Once the donors were disassembled, I cleaned the parts to have them ready for assembly. I have a jig here that I use for assembly and sometimes disassembly too. There is a frame which can be fixed to a table and some blocks for different hole patterns for different size knives. The frame is 3D printed with almost a full infill, so it is pretty sturdy. Even still, I've fixed a small piece of metal here to support my pliers when compressing the back springs during assembly. I've decided to build this knife with a blade and a combo tool on one layer, an inline Phillips and a magnifying glass on the second layer, and the 58mm scissors on the back in place of the corkscrew. For the Phillips and magnifying glass, I have a couple of options and I've been thinking about which way to go. There is a newer and an older style for both, where the old Phillips is longer than the new one, and the magnifying glasses have a different design as well as different magnifications. I personally like the old style Phillips more, and I like the new magnifying glass more. The back springs for the old and new styles are also very different. I will try to incorporate the combination of the longer, older Phillips and the newer, more clear magnifying glass into this knife with one of the back springs, if possible. It might require some modifications. Let's see how it goes. The scissors have the same exact thickness as a back layer tool for a 91mm knife, as you can see here. The hole for the pin is much smaller though, so it's necessary to drill that out to match. And here it is drilled. I'm using a set of thin G10 scales here, which are a bit unusual in the sense that they have the grooves cut out for scale tools, but they also use pivot barrels with screws for assembly. The whole knife will be thinner than it would be with regular Celidor scales, but it still retains the scale tools, which are usually lost with such thin scales. Now, if you've ever assembled a Swiss Army knife, you'll know that it's a bit of a hassle to keep everything in place while putting on the different layers. You have to compress the back springs to get the tools in place, and especially with layers where there is a back tool, it can sometimes be tricky. A jig helps here a lot, but I haven't had the camera on the process as I can't have good angles of the process with my current setup. Not to worry though, I have something big planned soon to be able to put knives together easier and film the process more clearly at the same time. Finally, now the knife is put together, we'll add a drop of Victorinox oil into each of the tools. And here we are with the completed knife. It's a bit stiff still, but it'll loosen slightly when the oil gets everywhere. Let's look at how it works and of course how it sounds. With the Victorinox you can always tell if it's put together properly by the snapping action of the tools. I think that's pretty good. The scissors are in a pretty comfortable position in the back. Definitely better to use than a Phillips on the backside. And as you can see, the knife is very thin and the G10 scales make it quite light as well. I haven't decided yet what to call it. If you have suggestions, please let me know in the comments. So that was today's video. I hope you liked it and I hope to see you again next time.